Are you young and energetic, but stuck in a dead-end retail or food service job? Are you tired of being broke? Tired of being Karen to death? Exhausted from working constant clopenings? Then stay tuned, because I've got a great alternative for you. Welcome back to Guard Guides. Today we'll be comparing and contrasting retail and food services to security work. It's a journey many of us have made successfully, and one you can too. First off, full transparency. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, as of May 2022, the average security guard salary in the U.S. is $16.72 per hour. But the statistics aren't always what they're cracked up to be. 14 years ago, I was working retail stocking positions in grocery stores. A coworker who gave us 2 weeks told me verbatim, "Once you get your guard card, you can fly." And he told me the security job he was offered started at $13 an hour, which sounded good to somebody making $8.25 an hour at the time. I took the leap and started as a contract security guard at a small college for Allied Barton, if anyone remembers them. And the rest was history. My time at Allied Barton was eye-opening. I quickly learned the dynamics of the security industry, where third-party companies manage security services for various sites. Initially, I was earning $9.50 an hour, but after 3 years without the promised pay raise, I moved to an in-house position at a different college for $13.50 an hour. This job was interesting, but it was also plagued with being understaffed and overworked. I then shifted to a regional guard company, working as a floater, and eventually settled at a site where I received a meager 20 cents raise. The tipping point came when a former colleague mentioned the weekend job, paying $16 an hour, which I took alongside my full-time job. This period was challenging, with minimal sleep, but it was financially rewarding. Eventually, I transitioned to the $16 an hour job full-time, enjoying better working conditions and perks. However, after years of unfulfilled promises of pay raises, I took a part-time job at a private hangar, where my wage grew from $14 to $19 an hour over 7 years. When inflation devalued my $16 an hour wage, I explored various options, including a stint in a federal contract job at an immigration center, which paid $21 an hour with excellent benefits. The pandemic brought layoffs, leading me to rely on my savings and part-time work until I secured my current position, offering $35 an hour with overtime, union support, and great benefits. Contrastingly, had I remained in retail, my path would likely have involved physically demanding work for a full-time position and a potential rise to a department manager role, paying around $27 an hour. However, this path seemed fraught with stress and uncertainty, especially given the high demands and frequent management turnover I witnessed. Besides the wages that are typically higher than retail or food service work, there are other perks to working security. For instance, as seen in my earlier retelling, you have the ability to work multiple jobs for different companies to increase your earnings if OT isn't available consistently. Laws and enforcement concerning this vary though, so do your due diligence. Say what you will about pay rates, but overtime hours are often available, especially if you make it known that you're willing to pick up shifts at whatever site needs you. If you're the type that gets tired of seeing the same thing constantly, you can request a transfer to different sites or take a flex position and be constantly stationed at new locations. Disclaimer: note that the following is highly dependent on location, shift, management, and client. That said, you may be able to study for school, certifications, or personal enrichment during your downtime, say between hourly patrols. That friend of mine who got me the $16 an hour job at his site also continued his career in security, though in a different niche. Whereas I went the more traditional observe and report route, he went the in-house hospital security route. And though he is an absolute workhorse, working not one, but 2 hospital security jobs, his hourly rate is in the high 30s an hour at both. There is another former supervisor of mine whose journey I know of through his LinkedIn profile. He went from guard to supervisor to operations manager to now regional director of a contractor in my area. Now, though myself and the others mentioned so far have been successful, have no misconception that our individual journeys didn't have ups and downs. The most important part to note is the time necessary to reach these heights. It won't be overnight, and a large part of my time in security was spent slogging through multiple roles at multiple companies and multiple sites. Patience is key. According to the BLS, the median pay for retail workers is $14.71, while fast food workers make $13.52. You may be thinking, that's not much of an increase from the $16.72 an hour security guards make, and you'd be right. But what that doesn't account for is the other perks I mentioned. Most of those retail and fast food roles are part-time, with schedules changing suddenly and with little if any notice from week to week, much less having overtime available. Most retail and fast food positions will have you on your feet, running back and forth stocking shelves or working the register. Whereas in security, there may be intermittent stress of dealing with an unruly visitor, but you'll be off your feet in the booth at the very least, or standing in one location for the majority of your shift at worst. Fortunately, for the most part, getting into security is straightforward. The basic requirements are typically being at least 18 years old, 21 for most armed positions, having no felonies, and a driver's license may not be necessary, but it's definitely advised. Start by Googling security guard card in your state. Take the required basic certification, pass the test, get fingerprinted, receive your license, and then start applying. From there, the sky is the limit. You can get your armed license and work high-risk, high-reward security. You can go the technical route and become certified in configuring and installing security equipment like CCTV. You can move up traditionally and become a supervisor, or you can go the administrative route and become a certified dispatcher or scheduling coordinator. The choice is yours. At the end of the day, it's up to you. But transitioning from retail to a security role provided significant material improvements to my work and financial life. Though the pay rates at first seem similar, it's the unlisted benefits like overtime availability, multiple options for security companies, varied sites, and more that make security work a much more comfortable industry to work in. If that sounds enticing to you and you want to know more, consider joining my subreddit at r/guardguides. The link will be in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more guard guides, and be safe.